Hey everybody, Kenneth Fossil here. I'm doing this live, so there's not going to be any edits or anything in this. I wanted to show you the progress I'm making on my home studio. I'm sorry I'm covered with dust. I just sanded up a lot of drywall. Anyway, a few videos ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I made a video on the, let's see, it was the how to soundproof a studio, like for a home studio. And I thought at that point I was kind of almost done. I was way wrong. I've done so much drywall work in this room over here behind me. Man, it's been a lot harder than I thought it would be. I looked up, I knew nothing about like really doing drywall before, but I watched a ton of videos on YouTube, and I'm happy to say I know slightly nothing about drywall than when I started. But anyway, let me give you a tour, see where we're at, so you can kind of see what's happening here. Let me walk out this door first. Here's the door to the studio. And this room in here, let me turn this on a little bit. Not a lot of light in here. Here's my home theater, and I've got this kind of set up. We watched the UFC last 3 nights ago. It was pretty awesome in here. So I had a bunch of guys over watching that. And then here is the attic door. If you watch the other video, you know that I installed this. Everything down here, the floor, everything up here, all of this was nothing. It was just like a basic attic, okay? So I've done all of this. So when you step in here, this first room here, this is about 315 to 320 square feet. And I was able to do like kind of a lofted ceiling there where it's peaked up at the top, which is pretty cool. It's 10 feet from the top to the bottom there, which is just really awesome. Then I'm gonna flip it around here. Over here on this part here, I peaked up there, but the way that the roof of the house actually comes in, I had to do something with that, so I kind of made that in there. I think it looks pretty good. Over here on this shelf is, I mean, I got all my junk here, my work junk, but that shelf, I had the option of either cutting that wall all the way across here, or I had this space to have this kind of little alcove in there. And I think it worked out pretty well. When you look at it, I'm going to have the amplifiers all the way across here, maybe put amplifiers down below, and I went crazy on outlets. So I've got like an outlet there, and there, and there, and there, and there's one behind that bucket. Like, I put them all over the place. 2 different circuits. So over here, this is on one circuit, and then this side is on another circuit. That way I can kind of isolate any ground loops or anything like that if I have to. So probably what I'm going to do is on this wall here will be like a bunch of guitars. It'll be like a guitar wall where I'll just hang a bunch of guitars across there. I have amplifiers there. And then on this wall over here, I want to build a studio desk. I have the studio desk there, big monitor. And then on this kind of corner over there to the left of that fan, I'd like to do like a little couch, tiny couch. It's only about 5 feet there, maybe 5.5. But just something where people can sit. I can jam out if I want to. And so that's where that is. And then I've done a couple things here. Actually, let me wipe this lens. It looks like it's a little blurry. Might be a little bit better. So this room in here, it's already primed and painted. I did the drywall in here first, and as you can see, it's just horrible, like up there, the way I did this. But this is not really a room. This is more of just, I mean, it is a room, but it's not like a living room of any kind. This is a storage room. My mother-in-law lives with us, and she needed some space, and we needed some space just with all of our stuff when we moved together. So I built this, and so this is about another 320 square feet. It's 11 by 12, whatever that would be. So just got a couple of my junk stuff in here until I'm totally done, and then we're going to put the rest of her stuff in here. And then I got one of these little AC units. This is I think it's a 14,000 BTU AC unit, and I've just got it vented right there out of the side of the wall, which is going into the attic. Which is just going to go up into the top of the attic anyway. So that's venting in there. AC is good there, but in this room, it's not going to be able to really cut it. In the studio, I wanted to be able to cut, like, the studio wanted to be able to keep it down to whatever temperature I want in here, but in that room, in the storage, it really just needs to be like 85 degrees or something like that. So what I did was I have this fan down here that I'm gonna mount, and as you can see, it says 80 right there. That's the temperature that it's in right now in the attic. We're in Houston. And that fan thing has the ability, I'm gonna mount it up there, it has the ability to do intake and outtake, so it'll kind of circulate the air a little bit. And then on this wall, I'm going to put a mini split across right here. And for those of you that are in the United States, you may not know what a mini split is. Usually they're made by Mitsubishi. I'm gonna get one that's made by Daikin. And in Europe and Japan and the rest of the world, their mini splits are everywhere. But in the United States, for some reason, they're not. But if you're adding AC to a system like this, it's a really, really good option. So I'm gonna put the mini split there, and I'm gonna keep this room a little bit cooler and kind of circulate the air into the other room. And then that little unit can kick on if it has to cool it down. So as far as the soundproofing, I think that the soundproofing has worked pretty well. And the reason why is because I did not soundproof the storage room. I just soundproofed this room. And I've got this little sound bar here that I use. My phone's on top of it. It's all dusty. But I use that to kind of listen to mostly podcasts, really. So I listened to a bunch of podcasts, and for a long time I had it kind of mounted on this wall where I was working and was playing. And then when I went into the storage room in order to finish that out and to paint that and everything, I put the sound bar in there. Immediately my wife called me up and said, "What did you do? Because it's like way louder than it was before. Can you turn that down?" So apparently the difference between these two rooms is good. So I mean, it is soundproof. Now a couple of things that I need to do is on the floors, I've got this right here, this green glue noise proofing sealant. I need to find one of these caps that screw in on the top of this because I don't have one. But basically I'm going to put this sealant in all these cracks. So along here I'm going to put the sealant in, the cracks along this, you know, everything on the floor I'm going to put this sealant in. I've got to do some good work on these steps because it actually has this gap that just goes basically into the attic there. But I'm going to seal this guy up. Gaps all along here, all along there, and so this room will be isolated from the house. Sound frequencies are going to find that it's going to be hard for them to get out of this room. And another thing I really liked that I did was in this room I put in these boxes here instead of the end wall boxes. So these I'm going to just screw onto the outside, and the reason is I'm going to show you on one of these over here. You know, this is not isolating the sound at all. The sound can get in here and it goes out through the drywall. But if I have these kind of boxes, what I'm going to do is just take some caulking or maybe some of that sealant and seal this whole thing up and push this in, screw it into the wall, and it's going to soundproof this room even more. So man, this has been a project. I've been asking myself recently if this was even worth it, doing all this. I think that overall the answer is yes. I've actually really enjoyed listening to this, or listening to podcasts and doing the work in here, but I will say that I completely underestimated how difficult of a project this was from start to finish. I mean, every single step, you know, when I was laying out the beams on the floor, across the joists in order to create the floor, putting the plywood down, every step that I did, the insulation, putting the resilient track behind here. You can watch my other video on how I did all that stuff. Throughout that whole process, I kept on thinking, okay, the next step's going to be easier, the next step's going to be easier, the next step's going to be easier. And the next step never was easier. It's always just more and more work. It's not like everything was super, super hard. But I'm realizing that, like for example, for the drywall, it's fresh in my mind. I've spent so much time doing drywall And like as I'm watching the videos, like I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. It probably would have been better for me to just hire someone to come in, and yeah, it would have cost more, but if I balance out my time to how much it would cost, actually I spent a lot more time than any drywall person would have in this. But this actually was an interesting room. Particularly, there was a lot of things drywall wise. It's not just a square room. Like for example, you know, I've got this kind of the weird ceiling there, and then I've got this over here, and that kind of comes out there. This is like a beam that goes across. I had to drywall it in, so I had to do all this, and I had to figure out, you know, how to, this angle under here, how what kind of corner bead to get on that. These angles down in here, you know, like even the way this came out, you know, they're like, that's a weird angle. There's nothing, you can see it looks like junk in there because it's hard to even get a knife in there to mud it. Same thing kind of in this corner. There's just a lot of weird things happening. So if you're doing a project like this, you know, you kind of weigh what's worth it and what's not. I will say that if I didn't soundproof it, it would have been a lot easier. To put up the drywall, just the time it spent to soundproof it was just a little bit extra. I'd say I've spent about 25% more time on this project because of the soundproofing. Just because you know, I don't exactly know what I'm doing, so I'm kind of going over the top. And again, the drywall was horrible. Like all this, it looks like this is paint. This is not paint. This is like me skim coating because I'm so bad at mudding. I had to like fix a lot of my mistakes. So anyway, and on this gray too, this isn't the color that I'm going to paint it. This is just a primer that's painted gray, but it will be a similar gray to this. But anyway, I wanted to document this and make a update on where I'm at. Just because I've been so busy doing this, I haven't made a lot of other YouTube videos. I've been doing like one a week, but when this studio gets done, I'm going to be able to kick out YouTube videos a lot easier because I'm going to set this up kind of like a filming studio as well. So somehow, like over here, where those boxes are right there, that's going to be where my desk is at. I'm going to put some lights over here that'll be able to shine on that if I need to. And then also I'll put some sort of camera or something. I'll mount something where on this reverse side, I'll make most of my videos on this side over here. So I mean, you can just kind of imagine if you know, the camera is where I'm standing right now, I've got like my amps over here, this wall of guitars. I can kind of sit right here and be able to do a video, and it'd be a lot easier to do a review. I'm already hooked up to my computer, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Sorry I went a little bit longer than I anticipated with this, but I'm really excited about this project. And stay tuned over the next couple weeks, because in the next 2 weeks I'll be moving in, doing the final painting, and I'll probably make some, I don't really drink and I don't really smoke, but I was going to say pop some champagne and smoke some cigars, but you know, I'm going to probably do some sort of celebration for this studio. So anyway, thanks for watching. Ken Russell out. I'll see you later in another video.